Specialized has a brand new Aethos, which is, their kind of lightweight climbing bike. And I loved the original one. I bought one. But this new one comes with a new integrated front end. It's also a bit heavier. There are new wheels to go with it and a new, more relaxed fit. Interestingly, the prices have dropped too, but this is still a seriously expensive bike. Now, I have been riding it and I have some thoughts, especially when comparing it to my Gen 1 Aethos. Mostly though, this isn't the bike that I think that Specialized needs right now. I'll get to that. First, the new stuff. It's a 10 gram heavier frame, so a painted 56 S-Works bike. That frame is 595 grams, and that is still seriously light. The cables now route through a bigger upper headset bearing. They've added a UDH, but the old SRAM design does work as well. They've increased tyre clearance to 35 millimeters. There are new Roval Alpinist CLX3 wheels, and there's a new Alpinist Bar 2. Okay, let's dive in on those wheels because they used to be 1,250 grams. They're now 1,131 grams, and that's with valves and tape. The new wheels for me really boil down to one key component, and that is the spokes. So these are exclusive from Aris. These are Roval Aero Composite spokes to give them their official title. Now the claim is a saving of 103.5 grams. They're thermoplastic, and they say that these are stronger than steel as well. The wheels themselves are 21 millimeters internal, 21 millimeters external, which I think personally is a little bit narrow for my taste, though I am coming off 25 millimeter Envies. They're ETRTO compliant, which I think is a very interesting step. Specialized says that they weren't compliant before, which made tires harder to mount, which in their mind was good because that also made it harder for tires to dismount. But now, because they want to play very much within the rules on these, they're also hooked, which I know is going to be absolutely massive for a lot of you out there. Personally, hookless has been absolutely fine for me, but I am a very, very light rider. A smaller update is the new Alpinist bar, but I love one specific thing about this, which I'll get to in a moment. The weight claim is 270 grams for a 400 by 100 millimeter size. They flattened the tops a little from the old version to kind of suit riders with medium to larger hands. These new ones have a 4-degree flare, which is relatively shallow. They're also claiming in a very specialized manner a 28.3% damping improvement. So that should, in theory, improve the vibrations coming through to your hands, which in my mind is really important. It's exposed on the underside with the cables so that you have a little bit of an easier time flying with a bike. I certainly find that when packing some modern bikes into a bike box, if everything's routed fully internally, they can be quite difficult. So it's good to see. The main thing though, and the main thing that I love about this is there are lots more sizes. They actually admitted that this was a bit of a miss from them on Gen 1. 13 sizes on this one, so it should cover pretty much everyone. Also, they've gone for covering a lot more kind of longer and narrower sizes, which I really do like to see. I want to touch on weight now because this is an odd one that this bike has got heavier because the Aethos was all about weight when it kind of came out. The UDH does add a little, but the majority seems to be coming from the added stack, causing a simple case of more surface area. There's a slightly longer wheelbase and all of that. There's also the revised layup that's got more of a focus on comfort, which I'll get to when I do my ride impressions. A sub 6 kg build is available with Red. That's 5.98 kilos. Cervelo's R5 is actually claimed to be just a smidge lighter at 5.97 kilos. But we were talking around the dinner table with the Specialized guys, and obviously they were very, very keen to point out that they don't know how Cervelo is actually weighing their bikes. So we don't have a direct comparison right now, but if we do get both bikes in with the same build and the same size, we'll of course weigh them for you. One quite nice thing is that the prices here are actually cheaper than the old bike. Well, the frame set's staying the same, but the Pro Di2 and the Access bikes are actually getting cheaper. So the Pro Di2 bike, 700 quid cheaper than the old one, and the S-Works Di2 bike is 500 quid cheaper. It's still a very expensive bike, I make no bones about that. Before I get into how this new bike compares to the old bike and how it just in general it rides, I want to do a bit of housekeeping with some geometry figures, because this bike is 15 millimeters taller in stack, and that's 1 millimeter taller than the Giant Defy, which is an endurance bike. It's also got a 0.5 degree slacker head tube, a 7 millimeters longer wheelbase, and a 3 millimeter lower bottom bracket. So all of this, Specialized say, is going to make this easier to ride at speed. But does that actually impact badly on the way this compares to the old bike? Well, I went to find out.
Okay, I've had a little bit of time on the bike now, so I think I can share some ride impressions. And the first one is that it does feel a lot taller in the front end, but also you can kind of feel the rear end being a little bit further back. Basically, it just feels slightly slower in terms of handling, which for some people is going to be great. I'm not so sure it's for me. That said, I'm very used to the old bike, very used to my position on the old bike, so maybe that is just a case of this thing being quite new. Another thing that I really like about this front end, this top bar section, it's absolutely beautiful. They've really done well to kind of get a little bit more size into this. Just an oval profile to that just makes it so comfortable in your hands. So the way that the bike really kind of surges under you, under power, and you do still have to put out that power, but it really does kick forward in a really nice, positive manner. It's fantastic up there. And that is on this bike, which is the Pro model, without even like the fancy wheels. One thing I have to say that the Aethos was always good at was, you know, a good bit of power transmission. So, got a bit of free road, let's give it a nudge. Tell you what, on a road like this, we're just going through trees, it's a nice road surface, it's a, you know, sweeping downhill. This bike just makes sense. This is exactly what an Aethos is kind of for. It's a joy to ride, it handles beautifully, and to be honest, like, in situations like this, I don't care about aero, I don't care about going as fast as possible. We've had a nice cafe stop, we're pootling home now. This bike just makes sense. And I know that's not going to be for everyone, but in this situation, this thing really does make sense. Now, as we come on to some poorer road choices, I do wonder whether they could have actually taken this a lot further and given it something like 40 millimeter tire clearance. But with the geometry that you've got going on here, you would then take it into the realms of the Crux, which is the company's fast-ish gravel bike. So where would that leave that bike? I think we're getting into the realms of having such small differences in bikes that customers are really going to have to start asking themselves what they want from a bike. Now, if your lanes look like this, which is basically a decent enough excuse for a gravel road, I would say you're probably going to look towards the Crux. This now strays quite close to an endurance bike or even the Crux as a gravel bike. I mean, to be fair, you can get into a relatively aero position. I'm going to kind of like ask Dave, rate my aero.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10! Oh, maybe I need this new bike with a new position so I can be 10 out of 10 aero. Whoa. I think my top tip, if you're actually looking at this bike and thinking, whoa, that looks like it's for me, is consider whether you want the front end integration, consider whether you want this bar, and consider whether you need things like the UDH, the wider tyres. If you don't, then maybe start to consider the Gen 1 Aethos, because there are some pretty good deals on them right now. Even on Specialized's own website, those things are dropping in price.
I think I want to finish with a bit of a musing, because this really isn't the bike that I wanted to see from Specialized. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Aethos platform, and I think that the updates that they've made here have generally been quite good. I like the clean lines of the integrated front end, and I like the additional tyre clearance as well. I think that's a practical measure. But it's not Avenge. And I think Specialized really, I wanted to see them bring out kind of a full fat aero bike, you know, an unapologetic racer that maybe I wouldn't then go and buy. It might just be a marketing exercise for them. Do you think that Specialized have kind of gone down the right route with upgrading the Aethos? Or would you have preferred to see a full-fledged aero bike like we've seen from the likes of Factor and maybe the new Merida that seems to be on the horizon? Let me know in the comments below. So that was the Specialized Aethos. It's quite a different bike now. I think Specialized have made some practical changes to it that will probably make it more of a useful bike for more people. It doesn't make it a more useful bike for me, although I do like the look of the integration and I really like those handlebars. The geometry changes though, I mean, it's not one that I'm going to be upgrading my Gen 1 Aethos to. But what do you think of this bike? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you like this video, well, first of all, thank you very much for watching, but why don't you go and watch this one next?